do is, Mr. Hamby, by the way, this is Angela Thorpe Harris, she's on the Arts Commission. And this is Mr. Alex Hamby, he's our staff liaison. And I'm going to talk a little about the Arts Commission, he's going to record it. If you have questions, it's just us. You ask me questions. The more questions you ask, probably the more you're going to help somebody else get their information. So, it's going to look kind of weird. It's going to be three of us, we're in council chambers, I'm doing this. But, did you watch Apple release a new product yesterday? So it's going to be just like that.
Okay.
It's going to be just like that. Okay, are you ready for me to start?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My name is Ron Thompson. I'm on the Duncanville Arts Commission. And today I wanted to give you the opportunity to welcome you to Duncanville City Hall. You're in the council chambers. We have here also with the Arts Commission Angela Thorpe Harris. She is one of the original commissioners for the city of Duncanville for the arts. And our staff liaison, Alex Hamby. This is for you. I want to talk about our new grants program. It's driven by policy and funding made available by the Duncanville City Council. I'll explain that. It's devoted completely to the arts. Duncanville has never had an arts funding policy, ever. So this is our first stab at it. We think it's a pretty good stab. We think we're onto something good. But the arts policy is a living document. We hope that the way that we look at the arts, the way we invest in the arts, the way we think about arts in our community will evolve in time. And the only way it's going to do that properly is that the folks who come and apply for arts funding tell us how it works. Is it going to work the way that we want it to work? So I'm going to go quickly. Real fast about this session. I'm going to explain the grant categories, clarify eligibility, outline application steps, show how funds can and cannot be used, and define the reporting responsibilities after each project. Have you all been able to go online to look at the application yet? Okay. You have?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you think about it, first blush?
Well, actually, I was at a coffee shop today, and the woman, she told me about the opportunity, so as soon as she left, I looked at the website. I think it was pretty much affordable, and I think that, I liked how the questions were kind of based on the whole, based on the party, whether it be an individual artist, a non-profit organization, or like a business entity. I believe I saw that as well.
Did that make sense as you were going through the application? Could you tell what those, okay. So, but when you looked at it, did you have any problem finding it on the website? Did it seem like something that you could do, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it was just right on there on my phone.
Perfect.
The only thing is that I didn't know where to submit application, so I was like, when I get home, I'll just go ahead and go on my laptop and go on the website.
So have you already started filling out an application?
I'm halfway good, start to submit it, and that's about it. So I already uploaded all my artwork and stuff.
Excellent, excellent. So I'll be excited to see how this helps shape your application. And so tell me your name again, your first name? Sarah. So what Sarah talked about, I already gave a little bit of this. I'm going to go back to some things she talked about. The Arts Commission, very quickly. The Arts Commission is 3 years old. When Angela and I first were appointed to the Arts Commission, we didn't really have any direction. There was a lot of change happening at City Hall. No one came in and said, we knew what our mission was, but there was no way to get there. There was no path to understand what an Arts Commission is supposed to do. So within 3 years, the Arts Commission is now a 9-member commission. That means the Arts Commission is the largest commission in the city. The Arts Commission is bigger than City Council. And our meetings are almost as long. We are an advisory to the Arts Commission, to the City Council. That means we don't actually decide where the funding goes. We promote it, we help create the policy, we make recommendations, we lean hard into it, but ultimately, we are making recommendations to City Council. And City Council then finally approves the funding. So we'll talk about the process as we're going along, and you'll explain how that works together with City Council. One of the things that we've done is the Arts Commission is now, in only 3 years, we are officially a proper Arts Commission. 3 things that we do, and we do really well, is we reach out to the community. We produce public-facing activities that are meant to engage the community, to put the arts front, to create connections with folks. We produce arts exhibits for Juneteenth and Hispanic Heritage Month, and of course, one of the most popular things that we do is our business and arts mixers. They happen about quarterly, and the Arts Commission finds businesses that are next to each other, and we fill them with people and businesses in the arts so that people can come together and see the arts need to be infrastructurally part of our community. When the Arts Commission first started, people think about the arts only as an event. We think of them as an experience that need to be institutional to the community. With that, we also began writing the policies. So again, there's never been an Arts Commission. So arts has always been ancillary to things that the city has done. This is the very first time that we are recommending policy to the city that says arts, that says culture, that says entertainment, that says these things that other communities have, that we have, but now we're codifying them. The city just completed, or almost about to complete, a comprehensive plan called Duncanville 2040. And if you pull it up, I recommend everybody who's applying for an arts grant to look at it. But if you pull it up and you do a word find for arts, the whole thing just lights up. This is one of the wonderful opportunities that the community and the city council is 100% behind the success of the arts. And then the last thing, with that, the Arts Commission worked to get Armstrong Park designated as a local cultural district. The cultural district is used to generate economic development and tourism and enthusiasm. And lastly, which put us over the edge, is we finally developed our grants program. The purpose of the grants program is to put the arts where it belongs, into the community. So that anyone in Duncanville who lives here or works here, and you gotta live or work here, can have access, can have an opportunity to apply for arts funding. And that is what an official Arts Commission does. We did it in 3 years. Imagine what's gonna happen in the next 3 years. And so you see along the ways, besides the city council, we'll get calls from a lot of people in the community. Hey, can the arts show up at the school? Hey, can the Arts Commission show up at this event? So you'll see arts commissioners show up a lot. If you know anybody who thinks it'd be really cool to be on the Arts Commission, and you do not have to be an artist, you do not have to be a painter, you can just be someone who loves the arts and want to make sure the art's available to the community, encourage them to apply, because right now there are open applications to join the Arts Commission. Funding sources. With the arts policy, there's something created called the Duncanville Arts Fund. It is an enterprise fund. An enterprise fund is a tool used by municipalities to focus on one area, and this fund is only used for that thing. So a lot of times, water departments have an enterprise fund. And unlike a general fund, an enterprise fund can build on it. You can have all different ways to seed it. So our fund is done 3 ways. One is what's called a HOT tax. That's repetitive. Hotel occupancy tax. Every time someone comes to Duncanville and stays at a motel, stays at a hotel, maybe an Airbnb, portion of that stay, this happens in any town in Texas, the tax has gone to promote tourism in that city. So that is collected by the city, and it is controlled, and it's meant to encourage people to come visit the city. Well, 15% of that by law can be applied to the arts. So when the Arts Commission started up, we said we want that 15%. So the entire 15% allowed by law goes to the Duncanville Arts Fund. It's not from the general fund. So that means we don't have to use it or lose it. It means we can grow it. We can see it be responsive. The money that goes into our HOT fund this fiscal year, it will roll over into next fiscal year. So right now, your Arts Commission is very aware of that. So we want to always make sure that we set the tone so that money goes forward to the next Arts Commission. Right now, we can also accept donations and grants and non-hot related funding, but right now, the only thing in the fund is hot. And that's important because it's going to affect your grant application. So because this is funded by the hotels and the motels and the lodging industry, the legislation is written that it basically needs to do two things. It needs to encourage people to come and stay in a hotel. They call it heads and beds. And it fits one of 9 categories. The arts is one. But hot can be used for other things, but we're talking about the arts. So ostensibly, it's meant to promote tourism in the city. It's meant to encourage people to come and stay in our hotels and motels. The legislation for that is written fairly loosely, so it allows municipalities to be creative and entrepreneurial, but they're very serious. It needs to be done with sincere intention. It's meant to promote the city as a tourism destination. So that brings us to our hot grant, to our arts grant. So we're going to talk about this and how it affects your application, because right now everything in the fund, except for a little bit of money, is all hot. So there are 3 categories of eligibility. And one is an annual arts program or a grant. And this is for 501c3, that's a nonprofit arts organization. There's a funding limit of $20,000. And the purpose is various purposes, if anything, operations, and production, artist fees, venue rental. But in this case, because right now all we have is hot in there, it needs to comply with hot. And the second is a single project support grant. So this is going to be for most people in the city of Duncanville that they want to do something. They're either an artist or they're a presenter, or they want to do something within the arts. So they've come up and there's limits on them. And I didn't put them up here, but basically it's anywhere from $2,500 to $10,000 is available in the single project support grant. That's all. You don't have to write this down, but know that. So basically, first-time applicants, there's a cap of $3,000. So if you've never applied for an arts grant, the most you can ask for is $3,000 if you're applying under this. Thereafter, you can apply up to $10,000 if you return. And the last is a public art grant. That's anything that's going to have some long-standing activity in the city. And those, there's not necessarily a cap, but I would recommend that these would be things that you would start communicating with the Arts Commission early on. So like if you wanted to do a big outdoor installation that involved landscaping and parks and things like that, the Arts Commission does like to look at that as well, but it's important that you work with the Arts Commission at the beginning of that. So I'm doing 2 things at the same time to make sure I click through this. So eligibility, we talked about, you have to live or work in Duncanville. You have to be 18 years old. And you have to be in good standing with the IRS, the state of Texas, and the city of Duncanville. And the applications must demonstrate capacity to complete the project. So if you ask for $3,000 and you say that you want to do a 3D virtual display in the sky using satellites, we're going to look at that. Or is that really what you want to do? So this is like basic things. We know you're only going to apply for something that you want to do. So those are things that you can think about. Restrictions. Full-time city employees cannot apply for an arts grant. Multiple proposals per cycle. Think about that. So we have a quarterly grant cycle, which is fantastic because we use that. It's not first come, first serve. You can apply once a quarter, and the deadlines, I won't read them to you, but the deadlines are on the website. And it gives you enough time to think about, okay, when do I really want to do this? You don't have to be at the front of the line, but you have 4 times a year that you can apply for a grant. Once you get that, if you get a grant, you can't apply again for that year. So it's just for that 1 year. So be strategic about it. Think about it. Also, get involved in the community. Find out what else is happening in the city. Find out if there's something else that what your project can do can complement something else. If it can or cannot. I keep talking about the Duncanville 2040 because if you, City Council, spend a lot of time on that. If if you can talk about how your art project can benefit or move forward, the comprehensive plan will want to know that. And do not lobby your arts commissioners or your city council. and I don't know how we follow up on that, but please don't do that. Some of the restrictions. And these, so again, right now, and this is a living document, you can't use the grants to purchase land or improvements to your space. Things like this can change. So if you want these policies to change like that, then you can change them. Political or religious programs, academic credit projects, retroactive funding, fundraisers and private events, or deficit litigation support. So like basic things not to do. The application process. So everyone has gone to the website and you look to see, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to apply, this is how I'm going to make it work. So you review the applications. There's a deadline for applications. If you want to submit early, there's a telephone number, or you can contact the Arts Commission. You can say, hey, I would like to submit early. Can you look at it to give me some tips? Depending on how robust that application series may be, that might get pulled back. Or there might be more of these Q&A sessions. But it would benefit you to feel comfortable that you put what could be a successful application if you get started early when you know you want to apply. Make sure your application is complete. Don't leave anything out. Right now, our staff is really good about checking the completeness of your application, but that will be a process that will have to be automated. So some of the things that are going to have to go in there is a budget, a detailed budget of how you're going to use the money. Secondly, everyone who applies, the city, before they can cut a check, you have to complete a vendor package. And that information includes the information that the IRS will need, because this is reported through the IRS. It'll be everything that you need to have a complete package. And then, of course, your application itself. My recommendation as you're doing the application, go through it, look at it, see what the city's done. As we start to fund projects, that information is made available, see what gets funded, figure out, get involved with the community, figure out what else could be happening for it, what else do you need in the arts. And I would recommend start writing your application in a Word document or a Google Doc. Get it all there, check the grammar, and then paste it over to the application. But make sure your application is complete. If you can, apply online. It'll be a much sweeter process if you can apply online. And so then this is a little bit of what happens is the staff will review it. And when I say the staff, so we're small, but we're mighty. We're still small. So ostensibly what city staff will do is they'll make sure that your package is complete. Make sure that you include on there some things to think about. If it is for an event, and the date is very specific, make sure that you put what day it's going to be on, and make sure that you have your ducks in order so that you've already worked it out with the venue. If there's a gallery or if there is an outside space, make sure that you have something in writing that says, yes, we have that space. If it's a city space, we can check. We'll check to make sure it is saved, it's reserved. Because what happens is, let's say that you're going to have it on November 2nd, and your application is successful, and everything is forward, and it turns out you actually weren't able to get the venue, and you can't get the venue for 6 months. Well, that could have been something that could have been rectified at the very beginning. So that's part of what staff can do to help you get through there. Then the Arts Commission reviews it. So basically what the Arts Commission, the way that we review is, we have policies. We have an arts funding policy, we have the hot fund policy, we're beginning to develop metrics whereby we determine how these grants are being fulfilled. I will tell you right now, you have an Arts Commission that is creating a pathway. We have an Arts Commission that wants to see the money go out to the community for the arts. So you're going to have definite advocates with the Arts Commission. But then it comes to City Council. And so what we did this first time is you do not have to present. In fact, we ask you not to. You do not present to the Arts Commission. If there's anything that you want us to see, if you want us to see your social media, be very specific which images or which videos. Do not make us look through your entire Instagram account here, because we won't. Be very specific about what you want us to see. If there's anything that you want us to see that's not in the text document, make sure you're very specific about putting, this was an art exhibit in Plano, Texas, XYZ, here's a link to it. And then what happens, you'll have the opportunity, all the grant applications that move past the Arts Commission then go to City Council. And you'll come in this room, and you will be in order. You'll have 2 minutes, and you get to pitch directly to the City Council. They will not ask you questions. They will not talk to you. But you only get 2 minutes to pitch. And that will put a face to City Council. And then what comes back is the day that the City Council reviews, then they'll have all your information, they'll make the decision, they'll vote, and staff liaison, Mr. Handy, will come and present one more time. Generally, the Arts Commission won't be there, but Mr. Handy will be there. He will do one last pitch for you. And ostensibly that is, the discussion is, what was the conversation with the Arts Commission? You know, was there a debate? What was the vote like? And all of it is open. Every single Arts Commission meeting is open to the public. If you want to know what we're talking about, go to we have a YouTube page, on the city website. You can see everything that we're talking about. And then City Council will make their final decisions. If City Council approves your funding, checks are cut within about 2 weeks. That's huge. Prior to an Arts Commission, what would have to happen, if you want any kind of arts funding from the city, generally you would go to another board, and it was only reimbursable. So you had to do the thing, show the receipts that you did the thing, and then they would pay you for it. But the way the policy works now is, we're putting a lot of trust in our arts community. And so then thereafter, within 45 days, we need a report. Did it do what it was supposed to do? If it didn't do what it was supposed to do not lie. It is okay, because we learn a lot when we miss our target, right? So if it didn't do what we're supposed to do, then we can learn from it. And we'll figure out how to make the process better and resources better. But particularly with first-time events, we're all in this together. We're doing this together. You have an Arts Commission that's on your side. So if you're doing this along the way and you hit a wall and you say, I just messed this up, or it rained, or something happened, or my vendor, we're all in this and we'll figure it out. And that is because, remember HOT? The city has to do reports too. And so we have to be able to justify how HOT funding is spent. And so it helps us to know how it works for you. So these are the grant cycles. I talked about, we're working on fiscal year 25, 26. And so the marketing, actually, you can tell when I was cutting and pasting this. So basically, the application for the first quarter, our fiscal year is from October to September. So October is the beginning of our year. It's not January here, it's October. You can see here, this is on the website, I'm not going to read it because you can read it. You begin to see how often the applications are live. And we even have basically when the commission is going to review them, when the council will review them, and when the grant disbursement will happen. I will tell you, City Council takes the arts very, very, very seriously. And they want to make sure that that you get the grant funding in time. Review and scoring. So like I said before, we have to look at the available funding that we have. HOT revenue is collected quarterly. Our 15% of that HOT revenue goes to the arts fund. We get a report on the amount of funding per quarter. This current Arts Commission only reviews money that's in the fund that quarter. A future Arts Commission may not. A future Arts Commission may look completely different. But right now, we only look at the money that we have available to us. That's the first thing. How much money do we have? How much money do we want to put towards grants? How much money do we want to move forward? How much money do we want to, all the ways that we can use it. And then we talk about artistic merit and creativity. This is where we need your help. This is part of having a brand new arts commission, that we haven't figured everything out yet. When I was in college, they said art is whatever defines itself as art. Well, that's a pretty big definition. And so right now, what the Arts Commission does, it looks at our policies. Is it eligible for our funding policy, our arts funding policy? Is it eligible for HOT revenue? That's what we have. There's nothing right now that talks about standards. So for instance, if you wanted to paint murals all over this wall, and all you wanted was to have big purple and orange pigs, well, there's nothing in a policy that says we can't have purple and orange pigs painted on the wall. So we will look at, if it's something that we look at your portfolio, whatever you want to show us is what we have. We don't go digging outside of what you share with us. So this is one of those things, as we begin to develop and mature, we're gonna have to be able to decide what our artistic and creative guardrails are. Right now, this Arts Commission wants our arts community to breathe. We want you to tell us what our community looks like through the work that you do. We don't want City Hall to tell you. So throughout this process, that's why I say, bring it back to your Arts Commission. We are your advocates to City Hall. Make sure we know what you need to be successful. And then of course, community engagement and tourism impact. We talked about reasons about HOT, accessibility and inclusivity. Arts Commission right now, the funding is for what's called community arts or public arts. Everybody needs to have access to it. So let's say that if you have a pizza joint and you want to have live music for your pizza, well, if they have to go inside your pizza place and buy a pizza, that would not be public art. But if you had a shared space outside and anybody in the community could see the jazz music, well, that's public art. Application completeness, we talked about that. Connection to Duncanville. You've heard me say this, you'll hear me say this a lot, you'll hear future Arts Commission say this. We are going to be able to identify ourselves by the art, by our artists. You'll hear me say this a lot. For the arts to be successful, artists have to be able to live and work and thrive in Duncanville doing their artwork. And past engagement with the commission. Right now, the Arts Commission, the City of Duncanville, is putting all their trust in you. If you think about it, a brand new grants program, we don't ask anything of you except a complete application. That shows a lot of trust. And then in 2 weeks, if it's successful, your money is given to you. That is a lot of trust. So we want to make sure that we build our arts community, that we learn from each other. So I encourage you. The Arts Commission meets the 4th Tuesday every month, right over here in City Briefing Room. Please come visit. Please come visit us. If something happens and let's say that you're denied, that your application is denied, you can appeal within 10 days of the funding notice. And you get the funding notice via email. Appeals, again, this is just really quickly. If you can't appeal and then add new content. The council reviews all the appeals. The appeals do not go to the Arts Commission, they go directly to City Council, and funds usually available within 2 weeks of council approval. So if something happens and you think you got a raw deal, there is an appeal process. And the appeals do not go to the Arts Commission. So let's say that you feel like they have an arts commissioner, they just have it in for me. It goes directly to City Council. Reporting requirements, within 45 days, we need a report. Right now, the report, there's not a template, there's not a report template. Your application basically lays forward what we want to see. Was the grant successful based on what you were hoping was going to happen? Everyone, whether you're performing arts or media arts, or graphic design, or interior design, or whatever the robust opportunities that we have, your application has built in what your own success measures are. So your report will show us, yes, we hit the mark. We didn't really hit the mark. We need to pivot here. What did we learn? I would encourage you, if you did not hit your mark, tell us. Tell us. There's no retribution. it makes everything that we do better. When we talk about trust, you want to be able to trust the Arts Commission, and we want to be able to trust. You want to be able to trust that we're doing the right thing for the arts community. And so then I talked a little bit about this, how it works. The Arts Commission, our job is to oversee policy, make recommendations to City Council. Our policy is to take in applications and review the applications, make recommendations to City Council. And then we ultimately have to make City Council know, because the reason they're doing this is because we asked them to. This was not their idea. The grant program was not their idea. It was the Arts Commission's idea. Why is that important? Because they trust us. They trust us that we're going to do the right thing. So that's why I keep coming back to you. We need to trust the applicants. We need to make sure this is good. So all your reports, we then take this and we report it back to City Council. And then we're going to find out if we have a successful arts program or not. These were some of the things we talked about. I would love for this to be a Q&A. If you have questions for me, I can help you. Preparing for a strong application. Because everything in the Arts Fund is hot, everything has to be attached to some sort of tourism or public access component. We have to say we're promoting tourism through the arts in the city of Duncanville. So what happens, and I'm going to say this, so what happens if you apply and your application is not successful? It does not mean that it's not good, it does not mean that you're not a good person, it does not mean that it's not quality, it means that we couldn't make it fit. Either there wasn't enough money, there wasn't enough resources, the application wasn't complete, or it really wasn't hot. So as the fund becomes more robust, there's going to be other kinds of dollars in there where we don't have to necessarily go back to tourism and things like that. But right now that's all we have. So make sure if you're going to do anything, make sure you include, well, we have a marketing plan, we have a tourism plan, this can generate potential traffic along this street. Talk about all that stuff, because that's where the money comes from right now. Talk about your artistic vision and community benefit. If it's visual, if it's an experience, make sure we see it, make sure we understand it. Put the attachments in there that we can see. If it's a performance, send us a video, a YouTube video, or a SoundCloud, something where if an arts commissioner wants to hear it or listen to it, we can. Chances are during the evaluation, we may not talk about it because we go and evaluate these on our own, and then we come together as a group, and then it's all conversations about policy. I will tell you, our first experience doing this, Arts Commission was trying to find a pathway for everybody. Provide a realistic budget, remember? Include marketing strategy and evaluation plan. How are you going to promote it? Do you need help? If you have a really great program but you don't know how to market it, ask for help. If you have a really good program but you're an individual artist and you have no idea how to sell a hotel, ask for help. And so that's why it's important to get to the Arts Commission before. There's lots of opportunities to talk to us. If you have a good thing, we do this all the time. If people from the community come out and they say, we want to do something, how do you do it? It sounds like it's going to be complicated. We start getting those gears moving early. Because again, we are your advocates. That's why we're here. And again, a complete application. If there are 150 applications, and if we're having to go back and chase to make sure, oh, did you do your vendor packet? Oh, you didn't put the actual date, or we don't have the sign off from the venue. We're limited. So what's probably going to happen is an incomplete. Right now, we were chasing after. When I say we were chasing after the applicants, but that's not sustainable. At some point, a incomplete application will probably be denied. This, please reach out to the Arts Commission. Please. You can call. We have a staff liaison. He's super helpful. He also happens to be the city's communication officer. He knows everything and everybody what's happening. We have an email address. And of course, the Arts Commission meets the fourth Tuesday every month at 6:30 over here. We have 2 minutes at the beginning of every meeting, or if you want to come talk to us, you can talk to us for 2 minutes. We can't answer you, we can't talk back, it's kind of like city council, but you have that 2 minutes. If you want to get more in depth, then you call the staff liaison. All these things we talked about. Hey, I'm thinking about doing X, Y, Z, but I feel like I need to talk to somebody. Do that. Do not go into this blind. Do not go in this feeling like you're unsure if you had a good application. Our job is to make sure that everyone is going to be positioned for the best impact. If you want to take a picture of this, this is a QR code that goes directly to the application. And then once you apply and you hit send, you will get an email notification. And you get a copy of everything that you submitted. So you know what was submitted to us. If, let's say when you transmitted it, something was kind of funny, you're gonna see it's kind of funny, and you can reach out to our staff liaison. That's why the earlier you apply, the better. Think about collaboration. This is a finite amount of money. So if you can find ways to collaborate, to work with other organizations, work with other artists, work with the city, explore that. So, I actually usually talk more than this. Any questions? This is what would you like to know? How do you want to, anything you'd like to know about the back end? What do you need to be successful?
So when you do the application, I consider it complete, which is great. Will it have a step where you get to the next one? Like, you know, will it kind of like when you go apply for something, they'll tell you like you can't move to the next one until you completed that one.
It's basically a continuous scroll. And so the empty blank, that's why I said start writing it in a Google Doc or Word doc, and paste it over. It'll have your contact information, it'll have a spot where it asks you the basic questions, and then it'll have places where you can upload any media. If there's something that you want us to see, then my recommendation is to do a direct link to that one and only thing. Again, do not send us to your Instagram account because we won't look at it. Send us to that video that you want to look at. My recommendation is make it short, because it's all about volume. But yes, you can submit it. I think it can go incomplete, can't it?
I believe you can submit it incomplete.
Yeah.
You can't, at this point, I believe that you can stop and save and come back to the application later. Most of the fields are required. Everything that they want to see is required, but there are some that we can't make that form require, so we can't make sure that you upload every single document. We can't make sure that those documents that you upload are complete. So for example, the tax form. I will tell you that one of the things that I had to go back and track down was I had to go back to people and say, I not only need the tax form complete, all of that, I need the ACH form, because if you want to get paid in a timely manner, we need that ACH form so we can do a direct deposit. So one of the things that made this work as fast as he's describing is I had a lot of conversations with our finance team. We worked out a lot of this. The reason why the schedule is the way it is so that our finance team is able to pull this off. And they're on top of it. They told me, like, if we're falling behind, tap us on the shoulder. And we got it within 2 weeks. But that ACH means that at the end of that 2 weeks, they do a direct deposit, it goes into your bank, and it's sitting there ready for you to go. So make sure the whole tax form, the ACH, and do know that those forms do not go to the Arts Commission. Those forms do not become part of the public record because that's your private financial information.
Yes, ma'am.
So for those forms that are online, would you have to print it out for take a picture, or can you just send me a PDF after it's filled out?
They're fillable.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're fillable.
Yeah. Everything on the application should have everything you need to do it.
And if it doesn't, email Arts, call me, and I will help you get through it. Ideally, we want everybody to use the online form, not go with some other path to submit. That creates a lot of chaos and tracking things down.
You're more likely to have something in your application drop out if it's not online. If you're emailing it to us, or if you're doing a PDF, or you're doing it by hand, something is more likely to drop that way than if you submit it online. Also remember, when you submit something online, you get a copy of what you submit, so you can see it.
I was hoping you would speak a little bit more this first round of grant applications, there was a lot of conversations about budgets that you were seeing. So I was hoping you could go into a little bit more detail about what you were seeing and what you're looking for.
So, understand what the Arts Commission has to look for, and we've gone through POT. What's important in a budget is it real? Follow the money. So, do you have everything written there in a detailed budget that includes, I'm gonna have printing costs, I'm gonna have postage costs, I'm gonna have to hire security, I'm gonna have to hire some special printing done, I'm gonna have to have a special section, whatever's gonna cost you money, put in there, and also put your sources of income. Sometimes, this might be your sole source of money on a project. Depending on what you're doing, look for other sources. I will say this, in the funding community, municipal grants are like the gold seal of approval. Once you have a municipal grant, private grantors are gonna look at you completely differently. So what we need is to make sure that there's a detailed grant, there's a detailed budget, because that budget's gonna tell the story that's not totally narrative. So anything that's going to cost money, because that also helps us determine, is this realistic? You know, are they true? Because what if, well, let me, without doing that. So, because part of it is, we don't necessarily fund at the full amount you ask for. So let's say that you ask for $3,000, but we're only able to fund it at the $1,500 level, based on the budget that you provided to us, and based on what we're able to do. So you're gonna have a choice to make. You can refuse the grant and go back to the drawing board, think about it again, get some more sponsors, or figure another way to do it. Or you can say, I can do this for $1,500 because you're gonna have to report it, you're gonna have to do it. Do not get yourself in a hole to accept a grant. It is better to refuse a grant if you didn't get the full funding because you say, I need to have that money. You don't. You don't need the money. Apply again. Use the lessons that we learned to your advantage. If your application is not selected or you were not funded at the full amount, learn a lesson for it and apply again.
Then if I could get you to talk about one more thing. When you were going through the last set of grant applications, you wound up in situations where people had applied for one category and you were put into a situation where you were having to decide if it fit to that category or another in your
I'm glad you brought that up.
very positive way of assisting.
I'm glad you brought that up. Know what you're applying for. Know the limitations. If you are not a 501c3 nonprofit organization, do not apply for $10,000 your first time out. If you are applying for an individual grant, most people are going to apply for the individual grant. If you've never applied, it's $3,000. Next year, it can be $10,000. We're building trust, and we're figuring out how this is going to work. So, know what you're applying for, and it kind of goes back to budget. So, we kind of struggled. We're looking at applications that maybe they didn't apply for the right kind of grant. And we did some of the heavy lifting for them. Because again, this Arts Commission, we're your advocates. We're going to find a pathway, but you need to help us. So, realistic budget, very detailed. If you have a detailed budget, the more detailed the better. Make sure you're applying for the right thing. If you represent an organization that's not an arts organization, but you feel like arts needs to be a permanent component of your organization to move the mission forward because of all the good things that arts bring with us, be upfront about that. Say, I'm a social service homeless organization. We feed and clothe the homeless. But we recognize the healing nature of the arts, and we want to have a permanent arts component to our programs. Then you tell us that. It's always better to be upfront about the things that you're not sure about at the very beginning. And so that goes back to make sure that what you're applying for is the right thing. We only have 3 categories. And so I imagine everybody in this room will probably be at the $3,000 level. What else? Ms. Thorpe, what do you?
Based off of the 3,000 that we say, if we're building or if we're having someone do a sculpture or a mural or something, and the final product is, let's say, $9, $10, $15,000, but because we only have 3,000 to play with right now or 3,000 to work with right now, could we still submit the full? This is what it's going to be in the next 2 years, but we need to start off with the first one for 3,000, and the artist or the person was able to do most of the work for this amount, and then stage 2. So basically, can we request it in stages and let council and let you guys know, hey, it's gonna be 3 stages based off of budgeting. First stage is gonna be this, and this is what we're gonna draw, but in the end, this is how it's gonna look. So
Here's how I would, and then you guys can fill in. Here's how I would look at it. First of all, is it eligible for HOT? And that's because that's all the money we have in the bank.
correct. Yeah, because we could say it's a tourist, well, it's gonna be social media where people are gonna come in from other cities.
So
to come and see it and take pictures and.
lean into that.
Okay.
Lean into that. So if I understand your question, you're saying, could you? Now we have a limitation on deferred funding, and I don't know if that's necessarily what you're talking about. But if phase 1, let's say $3,000 completes phase 1, and it's compliant with our budget, go through the funding policy. Read it. Look at HOT. And HOT's not just Duncanville, HOT's all of Texas, but it's only in Texas. See how other people in other municipalities are using like what you described. Find out if you need an example, say, well, hey, the city of Wilmer has a similar project, and this is how they did it. If, you guys can check me on this, if your application is for $3,000 and that $3,000 goes to the bank, it probably would not be a successful application. If the $3,000, you got something done, and that phase 1 was eligible for both, and it was a public art project where the community would benefit from phase 1, and goes on to phase 2. Now, again, Arts Commission does not fund fundraisers.
Correct.
So, it does not do any deferred payments. So look at some of those things. And I would, another way to do this. Right now, Arts Commission is the first at the table. Most municipalities are the last at the table. And at some point, Duncanville may have to flip. So what you might do is if you feel like you can't, I don't know what the project is, I kind of get the vibe on it. You could go ahead and start fundraising right now for it. You could go ahead and get it started. You could get people excited about it. If phase 1 can be done without the Arts Commission, get phase 1 done. If you need the Arts Commission to do phase 1, make sure they know that's part of it. Here's the risk you run. And y'all check me on this, but this is just what I'm thinking. If your project is a multi-year project, you can only apply once on a successful grant to the Arts Commission. If you're gonna come back to the Arts Commission 2 more times, what if you don't get phase 2 done? What if you don't get phase 3 done? So what if the final project is phase 1? What you might think about doing, make phase 1 your project. And then grow onto that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say that, if, just be very specific, if there's a certain amount that is eligible for a grant, and you have to like put specific like materials like we need or services and so on, will it be up to that exact amount if you guys put for a grant, or maybe like estimating like extra?
Get as close as you can. The reason is because the budget, that's the one place that the Arts Commission really leans into is budget. because that helps us determine can something really get done. Now, we understand we're not gonna expect you to cost everything to the penny. So whatever the project is, give yourself a nice safe buffer. Because you would not wanna get a grant and then to go, oh my gosh, paint is more expensive than I thought it was. I can't do it anymore, and I've already spent half the grant. So when you're budgeting forward, kind of give yourself some play room. Because again, what might happen is the Arts Commission would say, thank you so much for your application. We're willing to recommend to City Council that we fund this amount. And if it's less than yours, then you need to make the decision whether you're going to refuse the grant or not. Again, I cannot say this enough. If the Arts Commission does not make a recommendation to your full amount, and you can't do the project, it's better just to wait. Don't accept the money and not be able to do it, because it'll make your life not fun. Sir, how are you?
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Is it typical for projects to not be fully funded, or is that just depend on like the content of the application, like, or just the project itself that we're trying to?
So we've only done this once, and the caps, the grant limitations right now will determine it. There were applications that we felt that maybe they didn't apply for the right grant, and so we try to help them out a little bit. We try to figure out maybe this is the grant that you really should have been applying for. And again, because we haven't done this yet, there haven't been these Q&As. So the first applicants, first rattle out the box, we're asking them to do a lot of things. So we're giving a lot of grace on this. That grace will change. But right, so my best recommendation, understand exactly what you're applying for. Make sure that it's gonna do the things that you're gonna do. And be prepared to refuse the grant. Because again, if we have had some applicants where we did fund at their request, and they accepted the grant, and they were able to do it. But again, in 45 days, you're gonna have to run a report. And we want your grants to be successful. You want your grant application to be successful. So, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
And then, for my second question, if I may, so just to, well, this kind of obvious question. We applied, so I applied now before the September 30th date, but my program that I'm going to run is in spring of 2026. I'm still able to apply, and those 45 days will take place after that program ran, or how would that be involved?
Why would you not apply for the grant on the same quarter that your event was going to take place?
You apply for the grant during the cycle that's coming up that you wanna have.
Okay, so
So if you're doing spring of next year, and you'll apply for that
that time frame.
time frame.
Okay.
Yeah. So that we do have 4 application stages.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw it.
And like if you're like me, if you show me 4 sets of numbers, you're gonna forget them the second we're not looking at them anymore. Kind of looking at kind of figure strategy. If you want to, again, there's an opportunity if you wanted to during the grant cycle that you wanted to do. If you want to submit early, and you send an email to arts@duncanvilletx.gov, and you say, I just submitted a grant, but I would like to talk with you about my submission. And so some of those questions can be asked in the details, but generally, I feel like if you wrote a grant and the thing was not going to happen within that grant cycle, I'm not sure it set you up for success.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
So one, I would definitely recommend going and watching the city council meeting, watching their meeting, which is on YouTube, where they review the applications. Watching the first city council meeting where all of the applicants came and presented to city council, and then watching the meeting after that. So both of those meetings, I believe, happened in August. Both of those meetings happened in August, and city council you get to hear the feedback and what city council is talking to, so that you can get a sense of how they're making the decisions. So you'll start by figuring out how they're making the decisions, and then the conversations that were had by city council. And then one of the things to think about is because what you're asking came up during city council reviewing the applications, and they were asking questions regarding dates of when things were happening. So if you decide to jump ahead and apply now for something that you're going to do in the spring, it has to have a date, and then the date that it happens, we're definitely on the 45-day countdown looking for that report to come back, so that that can go to the Arts Commission soon after that, so they can get that report from you, and they can review those results. Because that is, again, you're funding in advance. That's not something that municipal governments do. Municipal government always wants to be responsible with tax dollars, the tax dollars that you pay as residents, the tax dollars that the hotels are putting into this fund. So this is one of those things that's going to be, for this program to really sustain itself, it's going to depend on that reporting, it's going to depend on the results of these events, these installations, and council and the community, really the community, seeing positive impacts from these things. I did want to jump in on one more thing. So because you talked about like the visual that came to my mind as you were talking about the project you were asking about, for some reason I got this vision of, okay, you're going to do a statue and you start with the leg up to the knee, then you come back next year and you're like, can I get another funding, and you get to the hip. So going into a little bit more detail on the 3 grant types. So you have an annual arts program grant, but that is going to be for nonprofit organizations. That's up to $20,000. Ineligible uses are operations, production, artist fees, or those are eligible uses, I apologize, and venue rental. Must occur inside Duncanville. Remember, anything that you are applying for has to happen here. Please do not apply for money from Duncanville and do it in Cedar Hill. That's not gonna fly. They're gonna say, no, it won't get, I'm about to say the incorrect thing. Grants that are approved by them or recommended by them or are not recommended by them are still going to go to city council at this point.
Right.
So even if they say no, your grant application is still going to go before city council with what their recommendation is for or against. So council will know all about it. Single support grants. Single project support grants, first time eligibility is up to $3,000. As he said, he went through all of the eligibility, anything that makes it ineligible. But I did want to point out the 3rd option, which is the public arts grant. The public arts grant is for individual artists, teams, nonprofits, or the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission can do a call for artists and say they're looking to do a mural for somehow in the city. The reason I bring that up is because there is not a set funding limit. Because a public arts grant is going to be for something that is out there for the public to see. They're going to be able to see it from the park, they're going to be able to see it from the street, they're not going to have to go behind a fence, they don't have to go through a gate, they don't have to pay for admission. And that's why that particular category is wide open. So you could bring something that we're going to put a statue, it's going to be amazing, people are going to travel from all over the world to come see this thing, this mural, this statue, what have you. And that gives them the flexibility to be able to say, this is a project we want to get behind, and we don't want the limitations of $3,000 because this is the first time we're meeting them, or $20,000 because this nonprofit. So just keep that in mind as you are going through all of this process.
And for that one, let's say, I know afterwards we get the grant and they do whatever they're gonna do. Then afterwards, how is a business or an individual, an artist or someone going to prove that was successful? Is it gonna be on sales? Is it gonna be on how many Instagram pages are out there, pictures?
You define the success.
Okay.
In your application, you will tell us what success is.
So we can say afterwards, we went from sales X amount of dollars to this, and then also from Instagram or Facebook or whatever, we went to 10,000 views or something like that.
So you had a ceremony or an opening, and a lot of people came to it, and some people
So what you might think about doing is, again, make sure, read the HOT.
Correct.
I mean, it's all over the place, and different municipalities judge HOT more strictly than others. We have a pretty strict one right now. So we have a document called the Texas, or the HOT 2 step. We can make that available to you to review. And that's just a general guideline. So you are telling us what success looks like. So success looks like for you, you're gonna say, well, this is going to increase visibility in our part of the community for XYZ, it's gonna have this, we're gonna bring certain people in, and we're anticipating this outcome. And here's the magic words, ready, everybody write this down. This is eligible for HOT, XYZ. And it tracks back to Duncanville 2040, y'all seriously write that down. and it will, but ostensibly, you tell us what success looks like.
One of the things that, and I believe it was you that came up with this, so a mural came to the Arts Commission in the first round, and I believe you said, let's put a QR code, ask the artist to put a QR code that sends them to a hotel page that I just built. I gave him the link, but that gives us an ability, without even thinking in advance of this question, for us to be able to track. Well, the mural's up, how are the stats for that page doing? You create a hashtag, or you create a follow, or what have you, or take a picture of this mural, hashtag, tag yourself, so that we can, show people that you were at XYZ, and you have the ability to, in 45 days, have some stats before, during, after, and that also gives you the ability to, if you come back later, you come back a year from now, and you're like, we want to do the next part. You can say, and I've got the 45-day stats, and I've got, here's a year of stats, and how the impact is. So I just want to make sure that.
No, it's valid, and so something else that, is, one of the things I want you to see what's happening is, we want you guys to be successful. We're gonna make sure that if you have a valid grant application, or a valid idea that's gonna have legs, that's gonna contribute to the community, and you need help with all the admin stuff, that's why we're here. We want a successful grant application. So when you talk about what's gonna be, like when he's talking about how are we gonna track the statute? So we're here trying to figure that out for you. So be really open with the Arts Commission, because we're there to help figure out these things. Because what's gonna happen on that line, because we went through this once, it's much easier for Alex to say, well, can you stick a QR code, put some metrics on it that you can track?
And then for we're getting bids, because of course we need to get several bids for certain projects and stuff like that. How much say so will the business have into who they want to go with?
It's all you. It's all you.
So we could recommend, hey, we have these other two bids, but we prefer this because we've seen the track record, we've seen the other art that they've done. We're more comfortable with this artist because we blend more with them, or we're more.
We don't tell you how to spend money.
It's yours.
I think that's economic, right, what you're talking about, that they
Yeah,
want to
no,
use it, right?
we're way cooler. No, no, it's we're not telling you how to be an artist. We're not telling you how to present the artist. We are, because clearly we have a set of guidelines that we have to be in.
So we
And
must
so,
do it,
and so we're watching, and so in order for you to be successful, we have to make sure that the things that we say to you, make sure that we get the output that we need. But we're not telling you to hire. We're not getting that. The thing is, it needs to be in Duncanville.
As long as the drawing is, or the art isn't, or whatever it is gonna be in Duncanville. It doesn't matter if it's an artist from another city or they live in another city, as long as they're doing it here.
I would
pay.
You want to know what would help? What would help?
Yeah.
Your artist is in New York, you're bringing your artist down to Duncanville to stay in a
Stay in a
Duncanville
hotel.
hotel,
Yeah.
so that this person could do a one-of-a-kind mural. He's known for doing it in New York, but now he's doing it in Duncanville, and you know that people are going around the country following that guy's artwork. So they want to see all of the pieces he's done. They want to have selfies in front of all the pieces he's done. You've checked 2 boxes.
Yep.
With doing something like that.
And so it's like our mixer. The artist is from New York. We use local people as well. It all contributes to the vitality of the community. So what he said was excellent advice. And eventually, what's going to happen is this fund is going to be more robust, and HOT will have no relevance on some grant applications.
Now, the only thing he would have to, if you're doing a mural, he would have to make sure with the city that he follows what
We're working on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
We're-
Okay, I know there's
But
an
we're
issue
not
right
talking-
now, but
yeah.
there wasn't there.
But
So
we
the-
have to get with, fire marshals and all that stuff to make sure
Well-
any, let's say synthetic flowers, or anything that we put on the outside, or whatever it could be, follows regulations and code and all that to make sure it doesn't catch on fire.
So if you're doing a mural, the mural process is we're taking a revision to the mural ordinance to city council for them to consider. Now, if you're doing a mural on somebody else's building, we need them to sign off on that on the application. We're good with the owner of the building is saying, yes, I am good with this mural being put up. A mural is not considered construction, so there are going to be different things. With the proposed process, it'll be Arts Commission, City Council, and then the building official will just give you a permit, because it's technically a sign. So we're trying to streamline that, but we're trying to streamline it so it's an art process and not a building permit process. But now, if you start doing other things, you want your mural, but you're gonna put in an awning over it, you're gonna do, now you gotta go talk
But
to
if
the building
the
official.
mural would be like a 3D, 4D, where people could stand in front, but then it's gonna be.
I don't know, that sounds cool.
Something like that, that we might have to, cause I mean, I don't tell an artist what to do, but if we have a couple
Now with the
ideas.
permit process,
So this is the thing, so like, one of the things that he just said to you that he didn't say to you, is we're like, gosh, it's gonna be really complicated for muralists to get anything done here, so why doesn't the Arts Commission just take purview over murals? So that's the kind of stuff that you see the Arts Commission doing. So like, if you have something that no one's seen here before, come talk to us, we'll figure out a way that works.
Okay, we got it, alright.
So what if, for example, I know you guys have a pretty tight budget and so on. So what if, for example, you give us a budget, we sort of the receipts allocated to the budget, and then we don't get as much revenue back from that grant that is given to us? Will that affect the?
So we don't give you a budget, you give us a budget.
Oh, okay.
And so when we're talking about numbers, we're talking about, for each grant application, when you go look at it, there are caps on it. So if you're a nonprofit arts organization, you have access to more resources. As a first-time applicant, you're gonna have access to fewer resources than a second-year applicant. So look at what those caps are. You give us a budget, we don't give you a budget. And again, I'm sorry, you tell us what a success is. We're not telling you anything. We're not telling you how to paint, we're not telling you where to hang it, we're just gonna make sure that what you do, all your bases are covered.
So revenue doesn't necessarily matter, well, it doesn't have too much of emphasis on what is received back after we have that grant, and, after we follow the guidelines with, representing city of Duncanville and stuff, because that's also somewhat of revenue, but it doesn't really cost money, it's still like, continue.
I see what you're saying. It's not so much that we want you to track the revenue unless the revenue is part of your outcome measure that you're tracking. What he's talking about is, so we had an applicant who was doing a mural, but how is that not compliant? Well, there's lots of things in other municipal policies that demonstrate why a mural can attract tourism. But we've never done that before, so we don't have that here. So what we did is we stepped up, we got it figured out. Part of what he's talking about is, well, let's put a QR code on it to track the metrics. As a first-time applicant, it's a first-time grant for a mural, we're all gonna see how it works together. So this is why, again, we don't tell you anything to do. So with your grant application, make sure that you're applying for the right thing. Really lean into the budget. Cause I cannot emphasize this more. If you can't do the project with whatever money is made available to you, refuse a grant and reapply. What's better is you refuse a grant and reapply than you receive a grant and not able to do anything. So kind of what I'm hearing from you is, if I make sure I'm hearing you correctly, is you're looking at a project that you're determining your budgetary guidelines on it, and you're trying to determine if it's gonna have a revenue component to it, if that revenue matters. Revenue matters if it's part of what you say is part of an outcome. Now, if you go back and you look at what's HOT compliant, we're not talking, we never mentioned revenue. We want to make sure that you're trying to, because we only have HOT money, we want to make sure that you're trying to promote the city of Duncanville. So how do you do that? If it's in all the ways that you create a sense of place, and that visitors want to come here. Even better, they want to stay in a hotel. But really, you have to show intelligent intent to do it. Meaning, you're thinking about it. You're thinking, well, how can this get people here? Because those poor folks at the Arts Commission, they only have HOT revenue. And again, eventually, HOT won't matter, but it matters now.
So I guess what you're saying is basically it matters more on the engagement that doesn't really cost rather than just sold out revenue or at least revenue that takes up the sum of like the feedback after getting ready to
So,
projects and stuff.
when I hear you say revenue, I think money. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I didn't mention revenue, but I think I kind of added that while we were talking, and I thought that kind of coincided with the goal, but I think the goal is more of like the engagement with the community, and then just make sure that the grant is up to par of how much you need to kind of make that engagement happen.
And I can't say this enough. We're not telling you what to do. We want artists to be artists, and we want you to shine. We want you to grow in Duncanville. So again, as you start to apply, and you look at those, if you make sure it promotes Duncanville. And promoting Duncanville doesn't mean there's a big sign that goes across this Duncanville. It doesn't mean that. It means you're creating a cool place for people to come to Duncanville. So you're doing something, he's doing something, you're doing something that makes people want to come. I want to go see that thing. I want to experience that thing. I want to be there. I want to go to and buy an ice cream cone at Duncanville while I'm there. And then I'm going to go and have a glass of wine at a restaurant. And then I'm going to, those things. Or, you know what, this is going to be a 2-day event. So I'm going to have to get a hotel. Or we're going to bring in somebody from New York, and they're going to need to be able to stay in a hotel. The purpose of it, you're not doing anybody's bidding. You're doing this for you. And so, but with our constraints, just make sure you're creating space for people. And like, if I know you're a painter because you told me you're a painter. So let's say you're doing an exhibit of some kind, you had to paint or something, maybe it's one painting. Your answer to that application is how does it justify HOT? It's like, well, I'm going to do a couple things. One, I'm going to do a lot of press. I need to let us know how you're going to do that press. And maybe you're going to have a speaker come in, and you're going to put a QR code, and you're going to sell prints, and you're going to have all this stuff, but people are going to come because they want to see that painting that you did. We didn't tell you how to do it. We didn't tell you how much it was going to cost. You told us. And you told us how you're going to track it. And you've already heard, we're real cool about if it didn't hit that first mark, making sure that we pivot and we make it make sense. Nobody gets punished.
I was trying to follow up on her question. If you're asking if you're gonna have a paid event, I was listening to you, if maybe people pay when you're talking about revenue. Are you trying to generate income, which is fine, but I guess I was just gonna say that if it didn't generate as much revenue as you anticipated, then it would be, that's the way you would make the measurement. You would determine whether it was successful or not us. You.
And look at the restrictions, because depending on what you're doing, if people are gonna have to pay to get in to do it, it may not be eligible. But if you're doing something and you want to sell something, that's different. So if people can go and they can have the free experience, anybody in the community can come in and have this wonderful experience. That doesn't restrict you from having something they can buy. But if you have a ticket charge, that some applications that could restrict whether it be a successful application.
Oh, okay, yeah, I understand.
And here's the other part. Tell us what works. If you're going through the application and you say, gosh, I appreciate what you guys are doing, but y'all really need to lean into this one policy more, let us know. Because like I said, the policy is a living document. We should always be changing it. And we're not going to know what to change unless you tell us what doesn't work.
I think that one thing is implied, but it's not been explicitly said. This is a non-reimbursable grant, you do not have to pay it back. To be able to qualify for the next time, you have to show results. So keep that in mind. With regards to your budget, it's showing them and the city council, I'm asking for this money, I already have this much money, I'm asking for this money, this is how I'm gonna spend it, what I'm gonna spend it on, this is the results on. Then you come back and you say, this is the results I got from it. If you can anticipate results, that's gonna be awesome for them too. But you don't, keep in mind, you don't have to pay it back, but to get it again, you wanna make sure that you have all that reporting on
Can there be multiple people, let's say we do one project and we get grant money ourselves. This young lady behind me, she gets grant money for an art exhibit gallery, we don't charge at our location. We wanna collab,
Yes.
we do our own thing, then the next 3 months we do something together to open to the public. She's gonna have her grant money and it's gonna be used for whatever we do.
Let us know you're collaborating.
Okay.
If you're gonna work with other artists, let us know.
it. You encountered that already.
Yes. we did.
You actually encountered that right out of the gate, that was your first night.
With Journey, we did, with Journey. The photographer and the dancing.
Oh, right.
Yeah, you had three.
We had three.
One was a venue, that was separate from another one who was applying for,
There's photography and dance and.
yeah. And
That
so
one.
they already encountered that, so,
So
and they,
multiple
Yeah.
people, let's say all three of us wanna join and do something, each one of us
Yes.
gets a grant, it's okay for all of us to apply.
Yeah, and it helped.
well, they applied, I'm sorry, but they applied for three different
Correct,
things.
3 different things.
They just had overlap in the fact that they associated with each other.
Right.
So one was doing a separate dance program, but another was using her facility for her own thing. But these were not building my grant on top of this grant on top of this grant, so that we had this massive event
Right.
with $9,000. So we figured this out, we got $9,000 now. Let's all three do our separate things, together.
Yeah.
No, they didn't do that, but you did encounter that, and they talked that out, and they caught it really fast. They're like, oh, this person does this person and this person, and then they dissected it. They spent a decent amount of time on that going, actually, no, this person they separated it out and figured out the applications. But that also goes to, as there's more applications, they're gonna have less time, less energy to get to deciphering that at the end of a meeting. So you wanna make sure that your applications are clear and concise and explain it so that they don't have to investigate.
And like to their points is, if you're gonna collaborate, love collaboration. Just make it easier for us to understand.
Well,
There's gonna be
separate dates, and this would be for this year, it would be an art gallery the next 3 weeks, and it would be this money for this, and then it would be a dance something a month from now after that, so that it wouldn't be the same thing, but just everybody would be doing their own.
Again, look at the applications, make sure it's eligible, make sure it's the right thing. If one requires the other to be successful, make sure we know. Because you can imagine there's gonna be 9 people sitting around a table, and we're looking at 100 applications. So, just make sure it's dumb it down for us. Dumb it down for us. What else? So, making history, you're our very first Q&A session here for the Arts Commission for this.
We're all approved.
So, I'm gonna remember all your faces, I'm gonna remember all your names, and thank you so much. Again, please reach out to us. We have all our contact information. 4th Tuesday of the month, just swing by. Anyone can have 2 minutes to talk to the Arts Commission. We can't talk back, talk to us. And just, we've got to build a community around the arts, and so we have to do this together. So we appreciate you taking the time out to do